Hello, welcome to Uptown Tonight. It is January 18th of 2023. We're definitely deep into 2023 already, and so far I think everything is going great. But that's just me on my personal side, and everyone knows I am boring, so that's okay. I am your host, Mr. Wayne Stallenfacher, or Discount Tom Cruise, or Tom Brady. Sometimes I get called Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. I don't get that, but whatever. We'll take it all. And this is Uptown Tonight Podcast, the FM area's weekly podcast where you do believe a rising tide does raise all ships. We're trying to do our best in order to help raise that tide. There are all the entertainers in here. And today we have Mr. Adam Bursack. And he's come in to join us once again. We're going to definitely... I have some questions for him, and we got some great photos and everything else, so I can't wait to get into this conversation. But first, we need to talk about me because I'm boring, and then we can get on to the actual good stuff here. So this weekend, let's see. Oh, that's right. That's why I put these up first, is that we do have Uptown merch. Come on out. We'll be at JC Chumley's this weekend, and you can get some Uptown t-shirts right off the stage. You can come on out and do that. And there's old Zebras. He definitely doesn't look like that anymore, but, you know, I have to immortalize him that way. And then there's Cito with Junior. Junior helps us sell our Uptown merch. Yeah, right off that J.C. Chumley stage. So come on out to J.C. Chumley's and say hi to Junior, too. Sometimes he gets out on the dance floor, you know. Sometimes he gets a little nutty. And then again, support our troops. Zebra says we need to do that, and I say we should as well. And my son's out in the infantry out in Fort Carson, Colorado, as we speak. So please support your troops. But here we go. We were at the windbreak last weekend, hanging out with Butter. We still got to get Butter on the show. So if you're out at the windbreak, give him a little jab about that. You need to get on the Uptown Tonight podcast. And I keep asking him every time, and he always just says the same thing. Not in your life. Never going to happen. You might as well quit asking. And I'm like, I'm going to keep asking Butter. He's like, yeah, I know. So there's our stage out the windbreak. And then there is me. Sunday afternoon, we had Technical Sergeant Dr. Caroline Browse, or Carolyn, sorry, Carolyn. I told you I'd say that over again. And she is with Air Force Band out of Washington, D.C. She's the actual principal alto sax player out there. And, yeah, holds a billion titles. You can check out her podcast. It's going to be coming up here in a couple of weeks. We had to pre-record that one, but, you know, you can check that one out in a couple of weeks. So we had a great time at our Wind Symphony concert last Sunday. So that's all I got about me, and I'm boring. So let's get to Adam. How's it going, man?
Oh, good to be back.
It's
been, well into 2023, as you said already, and it's still, I mean, there's the normal, you know, always saying 2022 thing, whatever. It's still January. Feels like it's just gone by fast.
It does. It always does.
Yeah, maybe
it's cold.
For me, at least, too, it's like, didn't have a lot going on, you know, the art and music stuff kind of slows down over the holidays, and I got stuff going on back to back with this show tonight, and then the art show we'll be talking about a bit tomorrow night.
Yeah, there's a bunch of art shows coming up as well, and yeah, my weekly report definitely filled out this week. I was really happy about that. I didn't even think about the art side of it either. I should be digging into that as well. Bad me. Sorry.
Well, only one coming up this week that I'm aware of on the art side. Anyway, they seem to kind of take a break with that too. I suppose it's too cold through December and early January and all that.
To get one out there, but let's talk about the. What would you say? Is it like visual arts? Is that what you'd call it, or is it like? I don't even know how to describe it. Is it paintings?
I like to say, you know, when I'm talking about it, like. Visual arts, especially in the context of myself, because I do music and everything, so that kind of you know, separated from art as a you know, all the artistic stuff I do versus, you know, the paintings, photography, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, most of the showings I've had things in have been pretty open with, you know, whether it's painting, photography, sculpture, whatever, which is good, because a lot of what I do, I often use the term mixed media, you know, because
that's right.
Combines a lot.
Great way to say it.
Yeah.
So mixed media. So basically, you're kind of like talking about different textures that you're using. So instead of 3D to an actual like painting, which has texture to it, and then you have stills, right?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of what I'll do sometimes too is, you know, I'll do photography, and then I'll do like digital things to, you know, muck about with it on the computer. And sometimes that'll get like I've got a piece I sent to you that I sent it back to it was a collaborative piece to the original photographer, and she's like, I don't recognize a thing in there. It's like that, that's a good compliment when, people don't know it's photo. Kind of the reverse. I was talking to an artist at an art show late last year who super photorealistic sketching. I wish I could remember her name, but she said at the Red Raven, I think she had a piece on display there and then marked it as photography for the category. It's like, that's a compliment if you're going for photorealism. They thought it was a black and white photo. It's all pencil sketch.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Nice.
But that's kind of what, reverse for me. I'll do something with a photo so much people are, have no idea it started as a photo. But something I've really been getting into lately, it kind of started as an idea I had for my first solo showing just over a year ago. It was November 2021. I did a lot of where I do those digital photo art things, and I'd print them out. It's like a collage, but it's all from my own work.
Okay.
And then I'd paint over that. And that's actually one of the pictures I sent you is the piece that's in the show at the Plains through January 31st, I think. And the reception is tomorrow night, and that's the medium I use for that. So
interesting. Okay. So does that have its own category then, or is that just?
I call it mixed.
Like mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I call it mixed media. It was funny actually at that solo exhibition. Holly, the curator, I'm not sure if that's her official title, but essentially at the Spirit Room, there's Dawn, who's like, the owner, founder, etc. of the Spirit Room, and then Holly, who's kind of runs a lot of the day-to-day things. But we were setting things up, and she's an artist, a very talented artist as well. And I was asking her for some I just suddenly blanked out on some really simple word. Advice. Yeah. The word inspiration, probably talking about art, was in my head there. And for the viewers at home, as we've joked about with a lot of things, Wade's got dogs, and I'm severely allergic to dogs and cats. So we've got 4 bottles of water here. I was running out of water last time, and if you see me rubbing my eyes or blowing my nose and things, I'm not getting sick. It's just
we're torturing this poor guy. But it's all for art. It
is. It's for the art. I'm pretty used to it. Last time we were joking about Ken's cat, which when I'm on the radio over at Ken's FM,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Cooper. He's a real character.
They always love the ones they shouldn't.
Yes. Yeah, it is like that with cats. With me, cats like me, and I like cats. I just can't be around them too long. But Holly was telling me, she's pretty good being a curator with, okay, this is a print of a photo, use this kind of paper, this frame, it's this size, materials plus whatever you want to add. I would say this amount. Okay, this is painting, same kind of thing. And it's like, okay, I don't even know what to call this, so we're just going to have to guess for the price for it, which, it's a good feeling kind of, I'm sure there's other people around it, and, maybe no one else in North Dakota or Minnesota. I'm sure there's someone doing that kind of art somewhere, and not like I completely invented it, but really doing kind of coming across like a trademark style that people, I always get the comments on. A lot of people see that and they're like, oh, that'd make a great album cover too. So, local bands and everything, feel free to get in touch if you're looking for an album cover or a singer. I haven't really got a band going right now.
We got all of the stuff down below in the description, so yes, go ahead and utilize that.
A few people I've talked about jamming with, I think, are tuning in tonight.
Oh, excellent.
So
I see that. We got a like before we even got started, so someone's rigging this.
Yeah.
I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, that's always good, getting the likes before we even get going. Means we got fans. So hello to everyone tuning in the chat room, by the way. We have some friends in there probably.
Oh, see. Taking mixed media to a whole new level from Evelyn.
Oh, nice.
Is that Shively?
Shively, yeah.
I said it right. Shout out to Evelyn.
Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't know if I've heard it said out loud or not. Some of these names, you just know them on social media. I don't think I knew how to pronounce Todd Ruzicka's name until like a year after he'd been playing in Venus and Furs with us because he was just Todd to everyone, and then I'd see it's like, is it Ruzicka? Is it and then I heard him on the radio with Beware the Vines. It's like Todd Ruzicka. Oh, okay.
Well, that's how it said. Ruzicka?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, you've known him longer than I have, I think. Yeah, and because it does look like Ruzicka, especially because my name has like the CK in it too, and it's a hard CK pronounced, like a K. So I wouldn't know. I guess I would be Adam Bursack or something if it had that pronunciation. But
oh, Evelyn's over here. I had to do something while waiting. Ah, so you're the one that was liking the stuff. And yep, correct, Adam. I actually had to teach you how to say it in person. So you did say it correctly.
Now that you mention it, yeah, I recall that would have been at. I'm not sure. Ran into her first at would have been one of the Kins FM benefit shows, and then she showed up to. That's right. That was a week before my solo exhibit. Week, 2 weeks, something like that. So we got some Kins FM people that actually met there, showed up for the art thing. Kind of like we were talking about before we were on the air. This doesn't seem like there's a lot of people in both the art and music scenes.
Crossover type thing.
So yeah, it's always great to get crossover going. We'll have more things going on, talking about that in a while too.
But... Oh, exactly. But this really correlates with my first question. It's just like, how tight is that art scene, that more visual art scene?
It's something I suppose kind of like the music scene. At first you don't really know anyone, and then it snowballs a little when you start to make connections. I think probably not quite as tight as like the music scene, because you
probably don't have to collaborate as much.
Yeah, and you've got all the concerts and shows that everyone is going out to see their friends' bands and stuff, like pretty much every weekend, where it's like these things everyone kind of gets out. Like there's an art opening for an exhibit like this one at the Plains coming up or whatever. You see everyone there, but it's not kind of everyone congregates every weekend or couple of weekends kind of thing. So you definitely get to know some people, but probably not, just seeing them often in person quite as much as with the music scene.
Okay, because I know of a few things. Is that working in elementary music, usually end up working with the art teachers at the same time, and they always talk about how like they rent out spaces with other people downtown, so they have like a place do the artistic stuff.
Yeah, and I think if probably if you're involved with something like that, you get in real close with other ones. Yeah. I've seen some of those, like Gallery 4. I've had some things on display there. They're like an art co-op. There's one that was like in the basement of the Red Raven before they closed. Seagrave, I think it was called. And
Red Raven had a basement there?
Yeah, I didn't know. I'd been going to things there for years and didn't know about it until they occasionally had music events there. And going back to Todd, Beware the Vine played down there once. Like, oh, they got a basement down there. And yeah,
the things you learn, I love it.
Yeah, so the ones sharing studio space and everything, I'm sure they get pretty tight bond with that. But yeah, I tend to do all my stuff in my basement, the archive, as I can call it now, because it's like sitting there. It's pretty much, well, yeah, it's exactly where you would have been when you were playing with Venus and Furs. I got my recording set up over right about where the drum kit was.
Oh, take over that spot.
Yeah. Hopefully once we get jamming, if I've got to move that stuff, if we get a drummer down there, so much the better, if we get using his rehearsal space. But yeah, it's like band rehearsal / home radio studio / art space, whatever else I need to use it for. But
yeah, someone I was talking to a couple days ago was asking about that. I was like, where does he do all this? I'm like, in his basement.
Yeah.
He's got enough room down there? And I'm like, makes it work.
Yeah, it's a kind of weird space. It's like very long and narrow. I actually kind of like that room in there, I suppose, which, made for a pretty good kind of practice space. Everyone kind of had their own little corner or whatever.
You do what you got to do and just make it happen. But that's it. So, no, that's kind of cool. So, obviously you probably have some friends in at least a different art type of
Oh, definitely.
genres. Am I saying this correctly? I'm such a noob to this thing.
Yeah, well, I think that's and you know, a lot of these things too. You know, I'm basically, other than high school art class, completely self-taught. So
Okay.
it's probably, you know, a lot of people know through the academic thing, you know, people that went to college with, or, you know, a lot of the art professors do some great artwork and things. So they've got a bit more of a networking thing with that. Whereas, you know, I've met people like Holly, I mentioned in the Spirit Room. I've known her for a few years now, and I've had a lot of things, both a solo show and parts of a lot of group shows. And it looks like we've got some chat room activity.
We do.
That's always nice to get. Yeah, so I get to know people through that kind of thing. And a lot of times if I get talking to someone at a show, I'll add them on social media and all that. So you get, even if it's only in the virtual world or everything, kind of knowing more people pretty much every time there's an exhibition.
That's always good. So is there new people out every year, or is it just kind of like the same characters every time, or?
I would say I'm meeting new people every year.
Okay.
It's, you know, I've really been, as far as getting into the showings at the studios and things, it hasn't been all that many years that I've been doing many of them. So I'm always meeting new people every year. And I would imagine just with the art students, you know, both new people coming into college here who are getting involved, and some people who are graduating who are maybe doing more because they're not doing school stuff, or getting more into the wider art community. So there's, at least out of the colleges, I would say kind of a steady flow of new people every year.
Okay. So I'm like, to me, I'd be wondering, how would you even get into this like crew in the first place?
Oh,
you
yeah.
just start drawing up some stuff, and then you just
it was
shop around?
all kind of by, you know, accident and coincidence and that kind of thing. Not unlike some of the things with the music scene, you know, we just, with Venus and Furs, our first show was at Borno's Bagel Bakery when that was around, just because they would take bands that had never played a full show before.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was kind of, I was doing some photography. Well, we were actually talking about this before the show as well, because of a mutual friend of ours used to live in this house, and this used to be his practice space.
Yep.
And I did some band photography for him, and, you know, that led to doing some photography for Anomic. I did some like pictures for their press things, and where like a photo shoot. Then a model friend of mine saw Jessie, the original bass player, saw her Facebook profile picture, which was cropped from that. She's like, "Hey, Adam, I didn't know you photographed models." I was like, "Oh no, that was a band shot." She's like, "Well, she looks like a model in there. You're photographing me," because she was a model. I was like, "Okay." So then I entered that into it. Kind of fit the theme of a showing at the Red Raven, and that's sometimes with the art things, you kind of have to fudge things a little bit. Okay, this is the theme. Okay, if you squint, this fits the theme, you know. And so I put one of those in there, and
I love that.
Yeah, for a few years, it was just kind of, I'd had something at the yearly Red Raven showings, and then I'd see things come up online, like, oh, they're looking for something at the Spirit Room, have something there. And as there were more shows, it was, because I'd start off basically with the photography things, or the, you know, digitally manipulated photography like we were talking about. And kind of as I got kind of back into the scene, had more things on display, I got more confident with some of the mixed media things, the things with more painting and sculptural aspects that weren't just printed photos, which is kind of, you know, what I was doing back in high school and all that. So it was just start coming back from that.
It's always good. Should we talk about, maybe we should throw these photos up, and that way I'll lead you into what's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Correct. So you got again, being a noob, I don't even know how to present it. It's just like you have is it a premiere? Am I even close to being?
Yeah, reception, that's what they call it.
I'm
still kind of a noob with that too when it comes to Oh yeah, that's one of the music ones I was looking because I'd sent you so many Venus and Furs pictures last time.
Oh yeah,
I was
they're great.
Yeah, looking for some ones of Hanson. That's me with a short-lived project I had. Kansas FM Halloween fundraiser show at the TAC 2019. Last time I played live on stage.
2019. Adam, you got to get back up there.
I definitely do. So again, you know, people I've talked to about jamming, or people I may not know about that want to jam with if you've heard Venus and Furs, you kind of know my vocal style. You can look us up on like Bandcamp and stuff. And you know, I'm definitely looking to get back into the music stuff as well as the radio and visual art.
He won't let you down, guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that one.
I love that.
Yeah, that was at.
3D.
That was actually the Art Syndicate, a local. I don't really know what you call it, a syndicate, I guess. They put on art shows that have kind of that mixed genre thing, because they had a band playing at that too. That was the Midnight Funk exhibition at Black Coffee and Waffle Bar, and someone did 3D art. Yeah, Midnight Funk. It's actually more of a jazz group playing there, but they're doing some funky things. But yeah, someone did 3D pictures. I was like, I haven't worn 3D glasses for years. And I put those on and just took that selfie. And that's like, you know, I'm used to putting on the rock star face in pictures, you know, very serious.
Yep.
So it's like, I get a picture of myself with a goofy grin. It's like, okay, I got to put that in. And you can even see they had like neon lights and stuff there. They had the Neon Jazz exhibition early 2022. I had some things in that. Then the Midnight Funk. And you can tell kind of with the music genres and the names of those, they kind of blend the mediums.
Gotcha. Yeah, you got one of the guys that actually played that night. Kyle Campbell says hi.
Oh, hey,
he
Kyle.
Was at the
yeah.
ECW and others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Evelyn, was the themes are open to interpretation. So she agrees with you completely. Yeah. Oh, and here it is.
Yep. I've got it in my. Should have brought my glasses to read it on that screen over there. But I've got my notes on my phone here because I know when to remember all the dates. Yeah.
It's a great
that's my official selection for the North Dakota Human Rights Arts Festival kind of emblem, I guess, that they sent me.
So do you know anything about this North Dakota Human Rights Arts Festival?
Yeah.
How long it's been going? And
I don't know how long it's been going. I think I remember hearing about it at least a few years before.
Okay.
Last year was when I had my first piece in there, but it's kind of a touring exhibition. I've got like the dates for it,
which is really cool.
Here, yeah, I had a piece that was on. In fact, I just got it back a couple weeks ago on tour over in North Dakota all year. Like this year, it's going to be the Plains Art Museum from January 10th to 31st. So I know some people have already been over there. I haven't yet. So the reception tomorrow is the first time I'll.
So you're going to be at the reception tomorrow?
Yep. Yeah. 6:30 to 8 is when it'll be. So yeah, people
go on out and meet the artist. Yes.
Yeah, meet me in person. I think there's like 75 artists. My aunt Beth Bradley, she's a local artist as well. It's sort of multi-generational in my family. We've often had pieces in the same exhibition. So yeah, I think she's got 2 pieces in that one. And let's see the schedule. It moves to the UND Arts Collection at the Empire Arts Center, February 2nd to March 3rd in Grand Forks.
Okay.
Then goes to Bismarck, March 11th to April 2nd, Bismarck Downtown Artists Cooperative, Dakota. I guess I don't know if Dakota. I think that was maybe supposed to be in front of Arts Cooperative. And the Taubie Museum in Minot, I've actually had things on display there for things besides this. There was a showing back. I was going to say 2020, but I think it's pre-COVID. It must have been 2019. I had, I think, 3 pieces in that. Unfortunately, didn't get out there to see it with it being in Minot. But yeah, as far as this goes, it's going to be at the Taubie June 7th to July 7th. They're going to Williston, the James Memorial Arts Center. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this goes all over September 4th to 29th there, and then Jamestown at the Arts Center.
And back to Jamestown.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, it looks like they have a little gap over October and November because Jamestown, December 11th to January 5th. I don't know, there could be some kind of TBA things for those months, because
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
yeah, maybe get all the way out to Dickinson or something.
Oh, that's crazy and cool all at the same time. Is that your stuff's just gonna be out all over in North Dakota. So yeah, so get out tomorrow night and meet this guy. Trust me.
Yeah.
He won't let you down. It's a very interesting fellow. Now, what are we looking at here?
That's actually the Neon Jazz exhibit on Zoe.
Okay.
I think it's pronounced Cook, could be Koch or something. She had some really cool pieces, but she happened to be the closest artist to me when I wanted to get a picture of myself with two of my pieces. So I was like, hey, can you take a picture of me? You're standing the right distance away. And the two over my, I guess, my left shoulder, but the right to the viewers, those are the two pieces I had there. That Warhol looking one just above my head, I can't remember who did that, but it's a pretty cool one. But that one's not one of mine. But the other two in that row are the two I had in the Midnight Funk exhibition.
Midnight Funk at the Black Coffee.
That's the one I've got in that'll be at the Plains tomorrow.
Oh.
It's called Golgotha Vegas.
What inspired that? I see like 5 different things coming out of there, and it's...
Yeah, that was the original, like, digitally processed photo.
This is digitally processed?
Yeah, that was... Well, and then there's paint and things too, but the original...
Okay.
just the photo was at the Midnight... Well, it was the one, Midnight Funk we were talking about earlier. And yeah, that started out as a photo of my good friend Emily Crowell in Grand Forks, who's a model. She was the one who's like, "You're taking pictures of me," and you know, I really have to thank some of these friends who gave me the push, like Jay, who saw some pictures I took on a college trip, called me up. He's like, "You're taking pictures of Anomic." Then Emily sees the pictures of Anomic. "You're taking modeling photos of me," that kind of thing.
Shout out to all of them.
Yeah,
yes.
That started out as a picture of her, and then I've gotten into a lot of newer types of, I shouldn't say newer, new to me types of software. I followed a lot of glitch artists, excuse me, online, and a lot of these, you know, if you follow Adam's Archive on Instagram or Facebook, I'll have like, you know, some picture behind the text of like what's coming up that week. And a lot of times I'll experiment with kind of different art styles, just doing a quick graphic for that. Then once I get the hang of it, I'll end up using it in artwork. And that was kind of the software like Glitch Lab and some others, where I think it gets the name because of that kind of early, like, you know, the cyan and magenta kind of early computer.
Oh, yeah.
Look to
the
some
RGB stuff.
Yeah, some of that.
Or VGA, sorry, not RGB.
VGA or CGA, I think that was the one.
Oh,
three color CGA
Yep.
going way back. So yeah, I was using Glitch Art thing, and that it can be pretty unpredictable. It does some really cool things, but it got that kind of crucifixion look almost.
Yeah, that's the first thing that popped out, and then I was like, no, that's not religious.
Yeah, it's not like overtly religious, but it got into the, you know, we do an artist statement for the human rights art thing. So I was talking about kind of, you know, like,
well, then you get a superhero type thing out of there. And
yeah, it has a lot of my artists had kind of like comic book and graphic novel inspirations too, which I'm not a huge comic book guy. I'll read some of those, you know, the novel type ones, Alan Moore, that kind of thing, but not like, you know, reading Batman and Spider-Man every month and whatever. Not that there's anything against that. I've got many friends who do, which is probably where I cut onto that art style. But yeah, so it had that in the art statement. I talked about, you know, with the woman looking like she's being neon crucified. It was because like that, the Vegas part of that is like, that's such an American thing, all the flashiness. So it kind of like, you know, women being treated not all that great, and, you know, some things going on in America, that kind of, I mean, I don't remember my artist statement offhand, but that's how it got into the, and then most of those lines you see over it, that's, once I printed it out, I printed out several different versions, kind of made a collage on a canvas, then started painting over that. And, you know, even looking at the photo of it, it's hard for me to tell where the photography ends and where the paint starts, which is kind of the goal I'm going for, you know, kind of.
Because it's got a lot of tension, but release at the same time.
Yeah.
And those colors coming around, it keeps your eye moving, and it's really fucking good. I have to say that.
Yeah.
So, excellent on that.
Yeah, that's one I'm proud of. I think it might be the best I've done in that style so far, because especially from just a compositional thing, the symmetry of the colors and all that.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one.
Oh, this goes up to an interesting thing with combining art and music as well. I'll bring my notes up here. See, yeah, Neon Fargo art. Crystal Fromm, who may be tuning in actually, she has.
Crystal, you out there?
It may be called a collective or something, Fargo Neon Art. I think I sent their logo somewhere up there. But we were talking about this in the car on the way over, where it's, you're not out to do this to make money, but it's always nice to know people like your art if the pieces sell.
Oh, yeah.
And they did some things before I was involved, but I've been in October and November at concerts at the Aquarium. They do kind of like a pop-up art gallery with, I think it's been 3 artists both times, maybe 4, one of them. And it's over by like where the merchandise tables are and things. And it's, first time I didn't know how it was going to go, but it went great. And it's kind of amusing sometimes. The first one is this really loud EDM music, and there was this guy who's so interested. We're talking like 20 minutes, but just screaming over the music, Then I had to do a rerun of Adam's Archive that week because it's like, I got no voice. But because, talking about art for 4 hours over that music. But it was great. And, well, there's something really memorable from, I really like the headline. There's a picture of it up there somewhere. But
headline, the paper?
Yeah, High Plains Reader. It was somewhere in there where Holly from the Spirit Room in the interview talked about how my art just looks so much like it was made by a musician. It's like,
let me see if I can find it quick.
Yeah.
We'll just scroll through here. We'll get back to these.
Sure.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, the
nightmarish and harmonious world of Adam Bursack.
Yeah, that is kind of what my world is like. But it's interesting to tell that other people can tell the musicality of it, because it's like usually people ask, it's like, oh, who inspires the art? And oftentimes it's, musicians more than visual artists. And, I'm almost always listening to music when I'm making art, that kind of thing. But I found between the art syndicate events that have had live bands and all that, and then the Neon Fargo art events at the Aquarium, 90% of the art I've sold this year has been sold at those, probably 50% at least, just at those 2 at the Aquarium. So it's like getting the music community into like we were talking about too, they don't always cross over that much. So you get people to show up for a concert, you're going to get a lot of different people than, if you've got something at the Spirit Room where they've got an exhibition every few months, and there's always different people coming, but there's also the ones that are kind of at every exhibition. But yeah, these people come and, just kind of come for the band, stay for the art kind of thing.
There you go. So any one of these photos up here are ones that you've sold?
Or these are, I think there's a few that I've sold in there somewhere.
Okay.
That's at the Rourke, actually. They had the Art Ghoulery event in October, the Halloween one. I had 3 pieces in there. That's another mixed media one with printed out photos, painted over.
Very nice.
That was called Red Nightmare. I've done this Nightmare series. There's only 2 so far. That's Red Nightmare, the Queen of Rooks, and I've done Yellow Nightmare, the Weeping Woman. That's one. It started off as a picture of a guitar, which shows how much I'll manipulate those digitally, and it looks like a planet or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's at the Shields Arena, the Epic Events art show, and I thought that fence background is so cool. I thought they did that purposely for a look. But then someone,
industrial.
Yeah, it's got that industrial look, which, especially with my style, worked really well. I don't know if someone who does pastoral landscapes, it might not work as well for that.
Sure
but I loved it. And then oh yeah, we did that because we couldn't hang anything from the walls of the Shields Arena. They wouldn't let us. So we brought in all this fence to hang it from. It's like, oh, for an improvised thing, that had a really cool look. But yeah, that's also one that's a digital piece that I painted on.
So back to that multi.
Yep, that was last year's one that was on tour for the human rights. That. Yeah, and that was interesting. That doesn't have any digital things. That's a canvas. It's spray paint and acrylic gel and leaves on canvas. I did it in my backyard in fall, and it kind of just came together because you don't want to spray paint indoors, obviously.
Yep.
But it's the middle of fall, and I'm like, oh man, I just got some acrylic gel from like acrylic painting, and I just put some globs on there, stick some leaves to it. And I did another piece like that years ago, so I kind of knew they'd probably stick, and they did. But I thought that turned out well. Those little bits of green, it was originally all green, and then I started doing black and red over it, and it just kept getting more and more dark red with that kind of blood look, which again fit with kind of the theme that year with our statement about like violence and that kind of thing.
Cool. So this one went on the tour. Is it back now, or is that still out somewhere?
Yeah, I just got back just a couple weeks ago. It ended probably, I think this year's one is going to end January 5th, 2024. So I'm guessing early January would have been when they ended this year. So
retired it, maybe?
Yeah. It got to finally get back from this year-long tour.
Very cool. And then there's the guitar.
Yeah, you remember that one.
Yes. How do you forget that thing?
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone does. It might show up in some people's nightmares. But yeah, the Art Gallery exhibition, I thought that was a perfect one for that. They took my two nightmare pieces and the bone guitar, so definitely kind of a theme with that Halloween exhibition.
I think it's so cool. Well,
yeah, that's me. I think my Aunt Beth took that picture. She was she had a piece, at least one piece, in the human rights exhibition last year as well. So we were both at the opening for that. Still, wearing mascara.
That's all right.
Yeah,
there you are with the guitar.
Yeah, a friend of mine had.
Is there a name for that thing, or is
it's kind of interesting. I've always, because I think it's a horse skull, I always called it horse. And then I don't know if we were playing Grendel by the time you were with Venus and Furs. That was a real early song. It got its name from.
Not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was in high school when I wrote it.
Okay.
We were reading Grendel by John Gardner, which is about like the monster from Beowulf from the monster's perspective.
Okay.
And we had a song called Grendel, and kind of the monster thing, and also Danny Gillespie, one of our original guitar players, he would play that guitar on Grendel. So it's more of a proper title than just horse guitar. I decided to call that Grendel. So that's Grendel. I always call it just horse, but his stage name is Grendel.
There we go. Then the neon arts. Is that all your stuff then?
The stuff in the foreground on the table, I think, depending on which picture. Oh yeah, Crystal actually took that of me. I was kind of sitting there guarding the art, and she walked by, and I was waving or pointing or something. Yeah, some of kind of on the right-hand side, you can see some of Crystal's art, I think.
Okay.
There's a third artist who I haven't met in person because she's not 21, so she couldn't make it to the aquarium shows. So we were sort of her representatives. But yeah, the ones on that rack back there, and then the ones on the table up front, those are all mine.
Did I see Orange 17 up in the corner?
Probably, yeah. They've got some old, a lot of their pictures. Yeah, Orange 17. Them and
That's
Todd.
An old poster or something?
Yeah, they've got a lot of old posters from.
I thought someone was making artwork out of that. I was like,
would be a bad idea. I mean, that was again how I got into kind of the collage work, and what was making posters for Venus and Furs shows.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that would make sense. Oh, we already saw that, so we need to cruise ahead here. Rattle. To there, and
yeah, that's the one.
I told you.
That I think last time I probably talked about it, that was earlier on display. That's the Shields Arena show, but it's earlier at the Spirit Room, and when Holly was hanging it up, it started to bleed. I think I probably told that story last time.
Okay.
It looked like when it was under the lights, it looked like actual blood, not just like red paint dripping off of there. We never figured out why. I put some extra coating on it. I like took it home and then brought it back to the spirit room. And it seems to not bleed, but now even on the, I think I gave it the subtitle, "The Canvas That Bleeds." So now it's got a whole story. And yeah, that I told you, that's a scan of a drawing I did that was on my piece March 2020, the Crow Show at the Spirit Room. That's the thing they do every 2 years in the spring. Last time I was out for months before, COVID got really bad with the lockdown and everything.
Oh yeah.
And that was called King Carrion Will Come. And then in that mixed media piece, I cut that piece out from the original. I called it King Carrion Has Come. In the first one, it's like he was sort of this scarecrow looking guy with an apocalyptic warning. So there he's like, "I told you, these next 2 years aren't going to be the best years we've had."
No, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah.
That's just another...
Yeah, that's from the side. You can see the 3D element a little more there.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Now, what in the...
That's a variation.
I want to say it's an eyeball that turned into a sun.
Yeah, in fact, I called that Cold Sun was the name of it.
Okay.
And yeah, that's, you can kind of see, like, with it having the stack and the price tag, there were prints of some of my photographic work, because we can do prints, that weren't in the frames and everything for the Art Syndicate Neon or Midnight Funk one. So I made some prints of a few of my pieces that were, just photographic without paint or anything like that. Excuse me. And yeah, there's, I think, some pictures of a few more of those.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, that's the digital one I mentioned earlier. My friend Itzel, who might actually be in the chat room, is probably tuning in. I had a picture of one of our collaborations last time, but this is one where she did the photographic work and I did the artwork, the computer treatments to it, and that was the one where she was like, "Is that my picture? I don't recognize it at all." Which, again, is a compliment, and it's still a collaboration. She provided, like, the seed of the piece using one of her photos, same way as that Cold Sun one. The seed of it was a picture of a guitar that I took, and I certainly can't see the guitar in that one anymore.
So this is just one picture that's just been...
Yeah, I used...
You can't see my hands of, like, reaching
to
the screen.
Yeah.
Like, how's that, like, go in?
Yeah, filters, and you can kind of see with that Glitch Lab program, it's really, because you can basically, like, touch the screen and go woo, woo, and...
Oh, interesting.
And kind of flip things around, so in, like, a 3D way, that there's the painting in the background, and then in the foreground, that's the painting, like, tilted, and... Now I'm trying to think of the right ways to describe it without just waving my hands around and saying it. Then it went like this, and then one like that. But yeah, sort of like...
It's all magic.
Yeah, multiple versions of the image overlaid at it with it, like, tipped over at various angles, that kind of thing.
That is very cool.
It's one of the things with the self-taught thing. I don't know a lot of the proper terms.
There's no technique. It's just idea.
Yeah, that's the Yellow Nightmare one at the Rourke. Yellow Nightmare, the Weeping Woman. There's one that's also at my solo art show that and other ones in that style really stood out. So it's like, okay, yeah, I've kind of got my own thing going with, get my photography, do digital stuff to it, print it out, paint on it. No one else is really doing that style. So, but that was one of the first ones I did in that style.
Mixed media.
And that's
Return to level 2.
Yeah, that's, I think ZX Productions. That's Carlos from the Dimension Jumpers kind of production thing.
Okay.
That's, I think, like April 15th or something. I'll bring it up in my notes on my phone so I can read it better.
April 15th, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of it looks like an EDM kind of show. I believe that's the next aquarium show that Neon Fargo is going to be at. I mean, it's still a few months away, so things could change and all that, but as of now, I should be there with my artwork along with Crystal and maybe some others. And ZX actually have a rock show coming up a few after that. They've mostly, I don't know if you've heard Dimension Jumpers, like on Ken's FM or anything, but they're kind of EDM focused.
Exactly, yeah, they're amazing. One of those
Oh,
one
yeah.
of those groups that you need to go out and see.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I really liked seeing him live at those last couple of shows, and I play them a lot on Adam's Archive. He's
Nice.
super prolific. You know, it's like, hey, I got a new track. Didn't you just have a new track last week? Yep, I've just been really working. In fact, they're kind of shout out to them. I think it's January 23rd. They've got a new album coming out.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
I did not catch that. Sorry about the Dimension Jumpers, but you heard it here.
Yeah, that's a kind of a more close up of that rack at the aquarium. Yeah, that's the photo that earlier one was based off of, you know, before painting it or anything.
Okay.
Just the digital printed photo at the Midnight Funk show.
Fargo Neon Art. You're just talking about that.
Yep, they're the ones put on like the things at the music events at the aquarium, kind of the
Oh, now
events.
it makes sense to me. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's another one. I think I had that in here last time because it was at Gallery 4 earlier in the year. That's at the Shields Arena show. That's one I did with Itzel, where you can see more than the other one. Tell her photography in there. That was most of these. It's all been my own photography, but this is a collaboration where she sent me a bunch of her photos, and then I printed them out and put them together like that and painted over them.
Very cool. And there's more.
Oh yeah, those are some of the other prints I had for sale at the Midnight Funk one. And the one on the left, that's Holly at the Spirit Room. Thought it looked like rotoscope animation, which after she mentioned it, it does. Like she mentioned the movie A Scanner Darkly, which I've still been meaning to see, but it's like where they take live action and then animate over it, so it's got a really smooth human movement, but looks animated. Yeah, it's got like this like female Silver Surfer look, one that's got, you know, the kind of comic book art style influence. I call that God stares into the void from her motel room, because it's not actually a motel room, but that looks like it in there, and then there's that void on the wall that this, you know, superhero looking character is looking into.
Love that description. That is awesome.
A picture of me with someone who work at the aquarium.
Looking suave. There we go. I just had to get the Contaminated Nightmares on top of it.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That was the name of my show at Spirit Room. Holly helped come up with that. I had a piece called Contamination, and then the first from the Nightmare series, and also a piece called Nightmare Music that was actually meant to be the cover of the first full-length Phoenix and Furs album, which is going to also be called Nightmare Music, but it's like, or no, that one was called Contamination, that's right, and it was going to be the cover of Nightmare Music, so Contamination and Nightmares were kind of thing. But yeah, we have to give a shout out to Jason Siebold. I know you've known him for a long time.
Siebold, yes. Renegade Photography.
Renegade Photography, yeah. He did a photo shoot, which I thought was so great. In fact, I'm wearing a David Bowie low shirt with that side profile view of David Bowie, and we were
would approve, yes.
Oh yeah, we were talking a lot about that because, like, some of the music I was listening to the most for that exhibit, a lot of David Bowie, his Outside album, which is really inspired by modern art, that kind of thing. But yeah, he got that low one, and that was the photo shoot to promote the solo exhibition. And afterwards, he said, "Yeah, that's another one from that." He's like, "Man, this looks like the photos from David Bowie's Heathen album." And it's like, and he said something like, "Knowing you, I know you're gonna take that as a compliment." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm wearing a Low T-shirt and a David Bowie hoodie because Low's Hey What album and David Bowie's Outside were like on repeat when I worked on a lot of those pieces. So I wanted to kind of give them a shout out in the picture.
Very nice. And then we're back to that photo.
Yeah,
that is awesome. All right. Well, I got a question for you. It says, where do you come up with the inspiration for this stuff? And I'm going to make you hold on to that because we got to get to this weekend's Weekend Report. So, how do you get inspired, and what gets you doing this? Do you wake up from a nightmare and just start going? What happens here? Well, I'll find out in just a moment here. So, see that one. All right, going uptown right away at Windbreak. We got rains Thursday and Friday, and late Goodness night on Friday, along with Rhyme or Reason on Saturday. Southtown Poorhouse, Slam and Bama hitting the stage on Friday, then Rage hitting the stage on Saturday. We go off to the Shooting Star Casino, Shirts and Skins at the Mustang Lounge this Friday and Saturday, 2021st. And then we're at the Fargo Theater. The Birds, the film, that Alfred Hitchcock classic, is going to be played out there. Now, hopefully they can do that one in 3D. I saw that down Disney World in 3D, and it's actually kind of unnerving. We'll just say that.
Oh, I'm sure. I love that movie. And it's as unnerving now as I'm sure it was back in the 60s. That's,
oh, yeah.
It's a timeless one.
What is going on with these birds? Yeah. That's an oversimplification. All right, so Wednesday, tomorrow, or actually tonight, Wayne MacArthur at Murphy's Pub, Breaking the Street, Rick Adams, Roundup Saloon. Tomorrow night, we have Shane Bertrand, the Sweet Shots. You're looking to get in your Weird Al Yankovic. Go out and see Shane Bertrand at Sweet Shots. Then we have Wayne MacArthur at Midtown Tavern. On Friday, Rick Adams at Tailgaters, Mike Morris at Elks Club, and Rachel Iranero at the Unwind. And then we're going on Saturday. We got Michael Pink at the Silver Spike. We got Mike Morris at the CSW in West Fargo. Kyle Kobe at the Silver Dollar Flying Pig. Tanner Peterson at Swingboro Brewing Company. And then Rick Adams is at the American Legion out there. Going downtown, Front Street, Vinyl and Vino. I have a question mark behind that because I cannot find advertising for them anymore. But if they're still going on, it's tomorrow night. Then we got Karabi Soup, where you can see our very own Peter Wilbur, I think, is playing with them on Friday night. And there we go. At the Front Street Tap Room and open mic night with Charles Negros next Monday, the 23rd. The Cellar open mic night as we speak with Mark Waite Belcher right now. Side Street Jazz Night on Monday and Friday. At the VFW in Fargo, we got Raw Sugar this Friday and Saturday. Murphy's Pub Tripwire on Friday. And, of course, we have Captain Brecky and 42nd Street Jazz down to 42nd Street Delta. Tomorrow night, go out and see that. It's not the 12th, I guess I missed that. The Spirit Room, we got John Peterson After 5 Jazz Trio on Tuesday night next week, 24th. Then we're still downtown. We're at the open mic with Gina Powers tomorrow night at the MCs and Brass Interference on Friday. At the Aquarium, we got Matty J. Hunky Tonk with Pat Leonard and Dan Brecky on Friday. That'll be a real fun one. And then on Saturday, we have DJ Affiliation, Jans, I can't even read these names, Janzania and Shermstick, along with Duro, IMC, Cognac, Wild, Worldwide Chaos, Rainy the Savage, and Quagsburg on Saturday the 21st. So JC Chumley is at Band Uptown. Who could they be? Right on stage Saturday. So JC Chumley could be looking for that merch. There we go. And then we have the M&J Saloon. We got Resolution Friday and Saturday out the M&J. At Troll Lounge. We have Ricky Halverson Friday and Dan Christensen on Saturday. Out of town, Laughing Sun Brewing Company, Bismarck Mandan area. Our favorite brewing company in the Bismarck Mandan area. Clint Morgenstern tomorrow night. And the Crop Dusters. Duster's going to be out there on Friday, 23rd. Johnny Spud with Avantide is going to be there on hit the stage on Saturday, 21st. Diamond Lounge, Double Down will be there Friday and Saturday. And the Historic Homes Theater is the Fabulous Armadillos tomorrow night. And I believe that's all we got for you this week. So let's get back to Adam. So, what inspires all this madness, Adam?
Well, you mentioned the nightmares thing, and that is some of it sometimes. I've always had super vivid dreams.
Interesting.
And some friends who've been interested. In fact, this is where that Nightmare Music title for the Venus and Furs album. I think one day I should put out like the Nightmare Music sessions on Bandcamp or something, because that was one we recorded at Electrical Audio with Steve Albini, and we had like plans to get it out, but the rock and roll things that happen, and
things do happen.
Yeah. We had the money to record it, and then there was some money earmarked to put it out that didn't end up going to that. So we've done some EPs and things that had some tracks from it, but Nightmare Music proper never came out. So I have the cover art that was on display at the show. But Joe Schneider, our founding guitarist, and he was really interested in dream interpretation. And I don't think he had quite as vivid dreams as me very often. So he'd like use that as raw material. I'd tell him like, oh, I had this dream of blah, blah, blah. And then he'd look up what it supposedly meant. And we had this like, back when you'd still get like a website instead of like Facebook or whatever for your band.
Yeah.
And we had like a chat thing for Venus and Furs. And we would always jokingly quote this non-existent dream interpretation book when we wanted to just come up with something we thought of ourselves that sounded like it came from one of the sources. It was Nightmare Music by John Barristow, name I just made up. But awesome. It was like our Necronomicon, this fabled book that doesn't exist. But we were convincing enough, and we weren't even trying to convince people it was real, but people were like, man, where can I find that book? I was looking at Amazon, and is that at the library? And I was like, oh no, we made that up. But it's kind of impressive that dream stuff came from that. But yeah, a lot of dream imagery, has gone into the songs and then later the artwork itself. And I've seen, like, some people noticing the musical influences. Some people, well, the guy I talked to for like 20 minutes at that Dimension Jumpers show, he was talking about, he's like, man, I've got sleep paralysis where you wake up and see those hallucinations. That picture reminds me of what I see when I wake up from sleep paralysis. It's like, I'm fortunate enough to very rarely have had that, but it's again like what I mentioned with Holly, seeing the musical influence is cool, and with something that abstract, you never know if other people are gonna see,
or catch on what's actually going on.
They're gonna see something. But in a lot of these, they do have their own interpretations. Some people have seen things that I didn't see, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna include that in the description now because that's really cool. But yeah, that's dreams and things like that inspire it. Music inspires it a lot, and a lot of it is kind of just making the discovery as I go along. And I think that's what kind of comes from the self-taught thing.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
That picture of Emily, I was doing the Glitch Lab stuff. It's like, oh, it looks like she's on a cross with a neon background. So, like, a combination of, dark crucifixion imagery and the flashing neon lights. That's kind of where that Golgotha Vegas came from. Golgotha that was, I think, the site of the crucifixion or something. But you're the right age where you probably had the Crow soundtrack.
Yep.
Yeah, there was that song by Machines of Loving Grace. I think the only song I've ever heard from that, Golgotha Tenement Blues. Just such a cool name. And that kind of inspired Golgotha Vegas for that one.
Very cool. But we're running out of time here to actually have a hard out tonight. So,
okay.
Yeah, so ready for a little juvenile destruction?
Yeah.
Maybe it's something of other nightmares.
Yeah. I could, if there's time, I can just mention a few radio things quick.
Do it.
Yeah, there was, this came to mind both, I've done kind of a soft launch, putting things on there without really telling many people on Mixcloud, which is a site where you can upload radio shows, DJ mixes and things. Chris Gardner, who does Your First Listen on Friday nights on Ken's FM, has put some of her shows on there.
Okay.
So now if they go to, I got this in my notes, www.mixcloud.com/AdamsArchive, I've got, I think, maybe like 10 shows going up there. And it particularly brought this to mind because one is one where I use clips from our discussion on here. I played.
Oh, cool.
Last time we talked about Understudy, the local band.
Yep. And
I played one of their songs. I put like the clip of us talking about Understudy where I'm like, yeah, it reminded me of a Young Phoenix and Furs and The Killer. It sounds like, it's like, how'd they write a song about me before they knew me? And that was the one I was joking, like, yeah, this guy wears all black. He's all artistic and stuff, and this kind of sinister song about him. It's like, oh, hey, Spencer.
I'm just over here smiling.
Yeah, that's, so I put that clip before playing that song and use a few other clips throughout the show. It's always neat, even blending things like this. Like, oh, I was on our podcast last week. Let's put a clip of me and Wade talking about some stuff, and I'll.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Yeah, you mentioned liking to play Bring Out Your Dead with us, so
I love that one.
Yeah, I put that bit of the discussion, then played Bring Out Your Dead live on Ken's FM.
Sweet.
After it, yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'll make sure I get that in the description below as well. But here we go. This week's Off the Roof. All right, Philbert, ready to do this?
Yeah, this
Ready? Oh, no.
Tell us when to go.
Well, that's the second time that thing went off the rail.
I like when those cars look good.
It is. Pulled it off the side of the road. I thought it'd be fun to pull it off the road. But all it did was like bounce. Nothing broke by it. So we doctored this one up to actually fall apart. It hit hard. It's okay, did you want to whip that car? Last time I summed it down. And there it went. Goodbye. That was perfect game too. You're hired. All right. So we got anything left for the good of the order there, Adam?
Nothing specific I can think of. Like I said, 6:30 to 8 p.m. tomorrow is the reception at the Plains Art Museum. And yeah, as I said last time, and I remember Ken saying this when he was on here, and I think just about everyone probably does. We got such just a laid back conversational vibe on this show. It's always like, well, it's been an hour. We just started,
It's been an hour.
But yeah, I'm always happy to come back on here anytime in the future, and
oh hell yeah,
always got more to talk about. Maybe I have a music project going by that time I can talk about too.
That would be sweet. But definitely having you back on.
Yeah.
That's not an issue. All right, so yes, get out there and find Adam. Oh, I'll get my camera. Yeah, there we go. Find Adam. Where's that at again? It's the Plains Art Museum?
Plains Art Museum,
Tomorrow
6:30
night.
to 8 o'clock tomorrow. Adam's Archive is 89.1 Ken's FM, or I'm always posting the link where you can stream it from anywhere in the world on Facebook and Instagram pages for Adam's Archive. That's Sunday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. Central. And now you can find some of the old shows to stream anytime on Mixcloud too. Look up Adam's Archive on mixcloud.com.
Exactly. You can find us on the Tiki Tacks all the way up to the Instagrams on Uptown Tonight Podcast, or else you can find us on uptownbandfargo.com, where you can find out what's happening with the band, Uptown, and or this podcast all at the same time. And if you have any ideas of stuff to throw off the roof, or you have something you want to see destroyed on camera, we'll definitely do that for you. Just throw it in my yard, whatever else will come and pick it up from you. And the best thing you can do for us right now, and someone already has, thank you, Evelyn. If everyone else can get on there and like this, subscribe and comment. Basically, the more stuff you can throw on top of this thing, even if it's nonsense, the better it works for us. So if you can do that for us, that'd be awesome. So make sure, if your drummer has more charisma than your front man, your band may be in trouble. But that's why my band's doing just fine. So until next time.
It's just a little baby turtle. Look at him go.